Hi everybody, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, we had 3 cruise ships, not 1, not 2, but 3 cruise ships stuck in a cruise port because of weather again. This time not rough seas, but dark seas, shall we say. We also have the fallout coming now from the Cruise Line Association, CLIA, over the new tax increase by the Senate in France. And it seems like you're damned if you do and you're damned if you don't, because a cruise ship made some adjustments because of incoming weather to make a better cruise for their passengers, and then something happened in the cruise port and now they're stuck. So, I've been asked from people on the group cruise here on the Star Princess to make sure that I'm doing this again. Showing the shirts. I got a brand new shirt yesterday, and I'm wearing it proudly today. Alright, let's talk about what happened in Tampa. Once again, Tampa was blanketed in fog. So much so that the ships like the Enchantment and the Rhapsody, they couldn't even pull into port to start disembarking passengers or embarking passengers. In fact, the cruise ship, the first one to arrive was the Enchantment, and she didn't arrive until 8 hours after her scheduled arrival time. Of course, this throws in huge impact to passengers because they're getting back sometimes into port by the time their flights are supposed to be leaving, or their rides have already been waiting for 8 hours, or etc. Or they're heading to another cruise ship and it might not make it there in time. Lots of things can happen. But yeah, 8 hours due to dense fog for 3 different cruise ships. Even the Carnival Miracle, which set sails on Sunday, was given a warning that they might not be able to get into port as well. But luckily now, the 3 ships from Royal Caribbean have set sail. They're all bunched up together and heading in the same direction. So I'm quite sure they can all see each other as they're traveling. And luckily the fog lifted enough today for the Carnival Miracle to get into port. So that was a little bit of a disaster waiting to happen that luckily did not happen. But they were warning their passengers, as this time of year, with the weather changing up and down, there can be lots of fog, especially in Tampa. So keep that in mind when you're booking your next cruises around this time of year. Next, we have CLIA has come out and basically made their statement on the new €15 tax per person, per port, for stops. For an example of this would be if a 2,000 passenger cruise ship stopped in to a port in France, the cruise line would have to shell out an extra $30,000 that day just to arrive in port. And if they have 2 on their agenda, that's $60,000 just for a small ship like that. Can you imagine if a ship like the Oasis or the Icon with 6,000 passengers came into it? They're talking nearly $100,000 just to pull in, plus the port fees that they already pay going into these destinations. They're also saying, you know, the people who are championing this in the Senate, and particularly one senator, they're saying that this is to make the polluters pay, and you know, he's saying cruise ships, this will help to eliminate all the cruise ship wear and tear on the coastline, etc. Cruise lines are fighting back now, saying that, hey, you know, we're not the only ships pulling into your ports, yet we're the only ones being targeted. And we're being targeted by passenger, not by cruise ship. You're not taxing the ship for arriving. You already do that. You already have port fees and everything by passenger. So why are you targeting the cruise ships? They say, well, cruise ships have so much emissions per year, except cruise lines have been steadily getting more and more efficient, more and more net carbon zero. However, things like cargo ships, gas ships, container ships, they're not getting as, near zero as the others, and they're still emitting tons of CO2 into the air, atmosphere, etc. So they're fighting back, saying this is a completely unfair tax. You're just targeting cruise ships because, as I've said in the past, it's the popular thing to do. It's easy to target a cruise ship because it's luxury, not necessity, where container ships bring in your goods and services that are necessity. That's why they're not forcing them, because if a container line says, hey, you're going to tax us? All right, we're going to deliver our stuff to the farthest possible port and you can truck it in. You can see what kind of disaster that would be. So yeah, cruise ships, just an easy target. But they're saying, because of this new tax, well, I guess we might just look other places than France to take our cruise ships. And, what we used to do 2, now maybe we'll do 1 or 0 stops in France on our trips, which is very worrisome now for the tourism industry, especially along the coastlines, etc., in France. So we'll see what happens with this. It's an ongoing battle, folks. It's going to be happening for years and years and years to come. And finally, let's talk about the Iona. Now, the Iona just had some rough seas on its way back to Southampton. They knew a storm was coming in, so it said, you know what? Let's be proactive, and we'll head into port a day early. So they headed into port a day early, arrived earlier, avoided the storm, so passengers had a smoother ride. Now, the passengers weren't able to get off the ship and disembark a day early because of, maritime law, but they were able to, still visit the stuff on the ship and enjoy the shows, etc. But they just had a smoother ride. It sounds like a great idea. But then they were about to set sail this morning with the new passengers on board and a container ship, those dreaded container ships. They dropped 18 containers, apparently full of bananas, off the side of the ship, basically blocking the Iona into port. The Iona is unable to move, and now there's a cleanup operation going on, and they don't know where these because some containers are floating, some of them have sunk, and there's 18 of them. And so there's a whole cleanup operation. The Coast Guard is there, and we don't know when or how long this might take before the dock is cleared up. Now, the owners of the container ship are there. They are in charge of paying for cleanup and recovery, etc. But again, we don't know how long this might take. It just goes to show sometimes, hey, we made a really good move and got into port early. I guess it could have been worse. Imagine if they would have waited to come into port today and then the container ship fell. Now they're stuck with their passengers out at sea. So I guess they actually did a good move going in early. But that's probably a first for me, folks. Your cruise ship was stuck in port because of bananas. That's right. Bananas are the new cause of cruise ships not leaving on time. Let me know in a comment, what do you think? Do you think it's being unfair lately that cruise ships are being targeted by everybody for the, I don't know, everything pollution is cruise ships when it comes to transportation in that way? But let me know in the comments. Until next time, I hope you liked that video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Until next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.